what's up, my cheddar boxes? Let's just get right into this review. This is Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 6. So it starts off with Bishop and Lady Mae. They're in the kitchen. Bishop is on the phone, and we learned that he's talking to the FBI agent, trying to figure out why Rochelle is able to gallivant around Memphis freely. And, so apparently she's no longer a person of interest. So she's basically free to do, whatever she wants to do, as long as she don't, break any crimes. So he's, fussing, carrying on. Lady Mae's trying to get him to go to the doctors. He's saying absolutely not. Not when I got Rochelle around. She's out for me. Absolutely not. So Grace comes down. She's trying to figure out what's going on. She was like, so Lady Mae says to Grace, I'm trying to get him to go to his doctor's appointment. And, he's all up in arms. So Grace trying to figure out who is he talking to. So Lady Mae tell him it's the FBI agent that was, apparently that was the one that was assigned to Jacob case, I guess when he was in some previous trouble. So he's trying, she explained to her he's trying to get some information. And then Lady Mae has to meet with Tara later, later in the morning. And so Grace is asking her, why are you meeting with Tara? So she's trying to meet with Tara. I guess she still want to see if it's in her spirit to be able to still want to give Tara the house. Bishop is against it. He was like, well, her and Rochelle, they in, in bed basically with one another. Not in bed, but you know what I'm saying. They both in cahoots with one another. That's a better choice of words. They both in cahoots with one another. And they just trying to sink their house, they teeth into this house, which is true. They just trying to get the house. But Lady Mae still wants to hear Tara out. And she was asking Bishop, Bishop don't want a part about any parts of it at all. He don't want any parts of it. And he's like, Lady Mae shouldn't even want to be dealing with it. It should be off the table. She shouldn't even be wanting to dealing with it either. And it do seem like some foul play, but I gotta see a little bit how it play out a little bit, because I'm not exactly sure what the angle is. Because Tara seems to be genuine, but I don't know. You playing around with Rochelle, rolling around with the dirt, and she is blood. So we shall see. So in the midst of all that, Grace get a phone call from Darius. Apparently somebody broke into his, he called her from a different cell phone. Apparently someone broke into his hotel room and stole his cell phone. So he was like, apparently someone don't want the information about the Eatonville to get out, which it's starting to look like that. So he asked Grace, did she still have some files? And she told him, yeah. So she wanted to go to the computer, and as she opened up the files, they were being deleted. So she was like, they're being deleted. He was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, as exactly what I'm saying to you. As I'm sitting here, they're being deleted. And he's looking shocked. She looking shocked. And I'm like, damn, it must be some deep stuff with this Eatonville stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how they all play out. So moving on from that, we have Charity. She's pulling up to, the house. And as she's pulling up, you see this man. So we know that this man is Yusuf, Phil's father, but Charity doesn't know who he is just yet. So when she come up, she was like, may I help you? And he was like, well, I may be able to help you. And then she had like this startled look on her face, like, oh, I know who he is. Like, so after that, it flashed to Clarissa and Jacob. They're getting ready to go to the therapist so they can be able to break the news to Winky about what's going on as far as the divorce. And she was saying that she don't want this to seem like it's an arbitration. It's just strictly them to let their son know what's going on. And he was like, he understand. And he basically told her that he told her that he deserved share custody. And she looked at him like, you're not going to get it. I'm like, damn. Like, okay, Clarissa, like, you so bitter. You so bitter. You so angry because he no longer wants the relationship. You so bitter because of the things that you allow him to do over the years, and then he didn't reciprocate that when you had one indiscretion. But I don't think that you should let that play a part of how he helped parents the child. The children, you should just keep out. You should keep out of it. You really should. You really should. So I don't know with Clarissa. I'm not really feeling her. She playing her role a little bit too much, and she making me not like her. But I digress. So now we go back to Charity and Yusuf. They're talking, and she lets him into the house, and he was like, because he looking around. You know, the house is fabulous. He said to her, all this, all you guys got all this because of religion. And she was like, well, the people of the church like to see their leaders doing well. Bull crap. Y'all need to spread some of that God-darn love around. Please. I don't think that them people of the church should be living in them fancy houses and stuff like that. And you got people in the congregation, living in, some people in your congregation living in, unideal circumstances. I just don't, listen. Call me wrong, say what you want. I don't know. I don't really believe in that mega church stuff. I don't. Okay, so we have Grace, we have Yusuf, and we have Charity. They're going to meet up with Darius, and Yusuf made it perfectly clear to the both of them that he's really playing the sidelines and he's not going to go on record. And Grace said, I got you, I understand. So they're on the same page with that, so I guess we're not going to see any trouble in regards to that situation. So Zora and Sophia, well, Zora was in like the little cabin that she stays in, and Sophia came over. So basically Zora is getting prepared to do like an audition to go for a new school. She already done booked her trip, her ticket. She's already planning on starting like ASAP to this new school. So Sophia, because when Sophia looked at her phone and she was like, it's like a confirmation for your ticket. Where are you going? She was like, I'm going to New York. That's where the school is at. So Sophia was like, well, do you have a place to stay? Oh no, I'll figure it out once I get there. She winging it. So she was like, Sophia said, well, do this have anything to do with your parents? She was like, no. She was like, I'm not going to stay around here to keep trying to prove myself to them. She was like, they have their life and this is mine. You know what? I understand that you all upset, but you're not thinking this thing through. You're literally going to go to New York, go to school, and don't have anywhere to stay. Where they do that at and how do that make sense? I know some people is free, it's like free as a bird, live, by the beat of their own drum. But honey, that is not it. You must got a lot of money where you could stay up in the hotel for a while, because who's going to pay for this stay? Where is the money coming from? You haven't thought this thing through. You haven't thought it through. Okay, so we have Yusuf, we have Darius, we have Charity, and we have Grace. They're meeting to try to figure out, like, put all the holes, they trying to fill the holes. So Darius, he was able to figure out that, well, Bob Whitmore, he owned that mortgage company. So Yusuf was like, well, anybody with the internet can figure it out. What else you got? So he basically, this is what the deal is. He was targeting low-income families, but he was specifically targeting black people, Bob Whitmore. So what he would do is he would get them into these mortgage payments, and I guess when they couldn't make the balloon payments, and they would just snatch the property back. So where Phil's mother came in at, she was the black woman who went, and talked to these families and, made them feel comfortable and made them feel like, we all in it together, we on your side. And then, bam, that's when the shark come in and get you for everything that you got. So that's why Phil is trying to bury the story, with everybody that's involved. And because Yusuf said, why do you think that he's trying to, build this black church? Because he's trying to paint a different image of himself, because he's running for Senate. He can't afford to let this scandal come out. So that's the draw, that's the ploy, that's what's going on. So we're going to probably end up finding out how deep the rabbit hole goes, and to what extent, we know he's in deep, but we probably gonna figure out what extent he's willing to go to keep this shit quiet at this particular point. So it's getting interesting. So Charity asked Yusuf, well, do Phil know anything about it? He said no. He was like, he was real young when all this went down. He was like, and he never he said, as much as I hate Bob Whitmore, I never wanted my son to see his mother in that light, because he didn't see his mom as a destroyer. He seen her as like basically a champion. So, and he said he didn't want to ruin that for him. So they wanted to know if he was willing to go on record. He was like, no, with his legal problems and things like that, he wanted to just stay in the background. But he did say if they find somebody that's willing to go on record, he'll back them up. So now I guess they're faced with the task of finding somebody that's will be willing to go on record, so he can do what he had to do, so Bob Whitmore can be exposed. So Charity want him meaning Yusuf, to go with her, so, and tell Phil what he knows, because I guess she think that Phil would kind of change on his course that he's on if he knows the truth. But only time gonna tell that. Only time gonna tell. So as they were saying their goodbyes, Yusuf told them that he was gonna. Darius asked Yusuf how long he was in town for. He said just a couple of days. So Charity and Yusuf they left. So Darius asked Grace, do she remember the conversation that they was talking about their future? And she was like, yeah. So he said, well, when this is all over with, I want us to revisit that. And she was like, okay. And then he gave her like a little kiss on the cheek. But Grace seemed a little apprehensive now. And I'm wondering, is it because she's starting to fall for Noah? I don't know. Maybe she want to revisit that happy family type situation, because she did tell him in this scene that she was going over there with them because AJ has a doctor's appointment, and Noah actually was able to get him back on his meds. So who knows? Maybe that'll bring her closer to Noah, seeing how good of a father he is to AJ. We shall see. But it seemed like Darius, it's going to be like a love triangle between the three of them, because Darius seemed like he's trying to push back up on her. He's trying to push back up on her. So Lady Mae, she meets with Tara. They're in the kitchen discussing, Rochelle being back. And Tara, she basically said that she didn't know that Rochelle was coming back. She not in cahoots with her. She was, and Lady Mae, she really not feeling it. She was like, because Tara said if they can't come to some kind of resolution peacefully, she was like, and more than ever that she's seen their house, she said that she'll walk away from it. So Lady Mae said, do you think that Rochelle would, go for that? And she was like, no. And she was like, now that we can agree on. That's what Lady Mae said, because Rochelle is out for blood when it comes to the Greenleaf. She's not playing fair. But Tara, she seemed like she innocent and everything like that, because Lady Mae did make a good point. She was like, you reached out to her after you met with Jacob. So how can I believe that what you're saying is true? Absolutely. Tara seemed innocent. She making it seem like Rochelle is the big bad wolf. She said how volatile she is and things like that. But you did call her. You did let her know what was going on. How far would you go, Tara, whatever your name is? How far would you go? That's my question. So Bishop is over at the bar / new church talking to, I guess it was like the building inspector. So he was asking him how long everything was going to take, and he was saying, well, it's really no rush. And as he was talking to him, Rochelle walks in. So Rochelle is a piece of goddamn work, I'll tell you. Latoya Luckett played the shit out of this role. I ain't gonna lie. So anyway, Latoya, she was saying, because he asked her what was she doing here. She was like, well, I just came down here to see what's going on. She was like, I heard, you starting this new church. And she was like, but do you realize it's in the bar? So she basically there to get under Bishop's skin. She's saying that Bishop needs to start telling the truth. She said that, all his lies and everything is starting to crumble down, which led Jacob to tell Tara about the will. She also said, that's why he lost the church. And she said, you just need to tell the truth. He's telling her he had nothing to do with the fire that caused her, father to die. So she's saying to him, well, why it seemed like everything going so badly for you and going so good for me? She is rubbing it in his face. When I tell you, they say never kick a man when he down. Well, she hasn't heard that memo, because she definitely rubbing salt in the wound. She definitely is. So she goes on and keep rubbing in his face, saying how success is evidence of someone's highly favored. And she was like, by the looks at you aren't even, you're not favored. She basically saying, oh, you getting, like she said, you got evicted out of your, you got put out the church. You're about to get evicted out your house. And then she got like this little smug look as she's, talking to him. The bishop fled out and told her to get out, and she goes on. I am going to get out because I don't feel safe in here with the likes of you. And so he was like, what is it that you want? So she basically said, when are you going to admit the role that you played in the death of my father? So then he jumped in her face like, when are you going to get this out of your head about this? He told her that she was sick and, she delusional. And she gave him this weird look, because I guess she looking at him because she really thinks in her mind that he really killed her dad. He told her that he had nothing to do with it. She told him, looked dead in his face when she said it, and she said Macy should have killed you when he had the chance. And I'm like, damn, she got it out for the bishop. She got it out for the bishop. So she storms out, Bishop looking all worried. And I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Bishop, but we won't never know how it play out until, things start unraveling in the season. So now we have Grace and Noah there at the hospital. Grace was telling her how she read, some of the book, the journal of the old caretaker. And she said that, he kept on saying that Negro in the book. She said, but there's no way of knowing if that Negro she was talking about was Daryl James. So Noah was saying that he'll try to ask, some of the neighbors and see what he can find out. So she said she appreciate that, because she would hate that her parents, would hate for her parents to give the house away under some misconception, which is absolutely right. Investigate that. I wouldn't be giving away no mansion on no whim, or based on a will where there's two wills. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would have to investigate and really get to the bottom of what the truth is. So Grace asked Noah, how did he get AJ to agree to get treatment. She said because she thought for sure that he would have ripped the number up, and as soon as she gave it to him. So he said he think it was the conversation that he had with Bishop. Bishop wanted him, to help him fix up the car. He said it kind of really made an impression on him. He was like that AJ was showing his mom, pictures of GTOs. He inquired about some space, I guess to store the car. He was looking into getting some tools. And Grace, you could tell she feels some type of weight that he's bonding with Noah instead of her. Because she was like, well, I guess, you are his father. So Noah was like, well, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing, nothing. But that's what it is. He's bonding with Noah, and she doesn't like it. So AJ comes out. He busting their chops because, look at the little lovebirds. He was like, I can see how that happened between the two of you and created me. Like, okay, stop it. So Grace was like, well, how things go? So they basically put him on a medication. He takes one pill a day. He said it's so much easier than, I guess, the, previous regimens that HIV patients, used to have to take. So he said that the pharmacy is on the first floor, but he doesn't have insurance. So Noah was like, just meet him he was like, give me a minute, meet him out in the elevator. I guess he's going to pay for it. Because somehow you don't have insurance to get the medicine, but yet you just seen the doctor. I think the medicine is the easier part. That's the cheaper of the two, okay? So anyway, meaning Noah, told Grace that he found a place that not too far from his mom's for him and AJ to stay, and he was like, whatever, however things play out, with the house, you just know that you'll have a place to stay with me and AJ. So Grace was like, okay, thank you. And he was like, strictly platonic, of course, strictly platonic. Grace ain't, like I said, Grace is not feeling the bond between Noah and AJ. He's not. So Noah said that he's going to find out some information and get back to her in regards to like the old caretaker. And, Grace on board with that, but that's not sitting well with Grace. It's not. So moving on from that, we have Zora, we have Clarissa, and we have Jacob. They're meeting with Zora at the the cottage because Sophia had went and told them what Zora's plans were, and I guess they're going to try to put a monkey wrench in those plans. So I guess they was doing like a bad cop, because Clarissa being the bad cop, or that's how it seems to be. So Clarissa was like, you're not going to New York, basically just like shutting everything down. And Zora like, I'm not no child, I'm not, I'm an adult. So Jacob was like, yeah, you're right. He was like, is the plane ticket refundable? Yes, it's refundable. He was like, okay, well, just give me and your mom 1 or 2 days. He was like, so what he said, he was like, I know that you're no child, you're not a child anymore. He was like, but it's still a lot of things that you don't know. He was like, give me and your mom a day or two. We're going to see if your cousin is able to accommodate you staying up there. And she was like, well, she lives in Hoboken. Hoboken's not New York. He was like, basically meet us in the middle. So they're going to sit, they're going to talk about it, and then they're going to come into some kind of agreement as to try to get her, up as close as they can to New York without her going out there on a limb. And that's the best they can do, because you can't stop her. Like she said, she is of age. You can't stop what she's doing. So give her a chance. So Bishop and Lady Mae, they're at the house because Bishop could go storming in and was telling her how things went with Rochelle. He is adamant that he does not want them with the house. He said those two con artists are in cahoots. So she was telling him how she met with Tara, and she's not so basically blind to how her sister is. He was like, well, you so gung ho and giving them, the house. She said, you think I really want to give them the house? I don't want to give them the house. He was So Bishop said, you know, he doesn't believe that that other will is real. Basically, he said they don't. Well, he said they don't know if that other will is real. He was like, all he know is, Miss Davis gave the house to them, and she was. So, and Lady Mae was saying, yeah, when Daryl James was unable to receive it, she was like, she basically don't want to give them the house either, but she said it just don't sit, well with her. So, he said, well, how you know for all Rochelle didn't make it up? She made up a fake will. So she said, well, Aaron seems to think that the will is real, and Bishop said that Rochelle made up a fake website. So he said, so Lady Mae said, well, did she make up the a fake blue sky? Did she did she do all these things? Did she make that, did she make these things up? So Bishop is trying to reason with Lady Mae and saying, why would she being Miss Davis, give Daryl James the house? This white woman. Why would she just give him the house? So she said, well, why would she just give us the house? Did she even know your name? Did she even, did you even know her? You didn't even know her name before Mac said something to you. And she has a point. Like, why the hell she just out here leaving you guys these wills and y'all didn't even have no strong connection to her? Like, I mean, will you guys these houses? What really went on? What really went on? So Jacob comes in and he basically tells them that Winky and Clarissa is going to be packing up and leaving, going to her mother's house. And he would like for everybody to come down, to give it a little bit some normalcy. So he excused himself, and her and Bishop got into it. And Bishop said, "Listen, you want to be holy? Won't you confess your sins?" He was, "Won't you confess your sins?" He said, "Every, thing that I did has been, basically shouted from the rooftops." He was like, "And you want to get on him about what he's doing, talking about Jacob, and then you holding on to a secret that you looking. You holding on to a deep secret, so you can't condemn him, and you ain't living right, or you got this big cloud over you." And Lady Mae, it's a little like when he said that, her facial expression like something just clicked in her. So we will see what that was. So now we have Judy and Phil. They're at the church. I guess they clearing out some things. So Judy was rambling on, saying how she was shocked how impeccable the records was that Charity kept. So Phil was saying, well, why would you be shocked? That's her job. She was like, well, she always had those earbuds. And so as she's saying that, Charity walks in. She flips on the light and say, be careful. What you say in the dark, it always come to light. So she storms in, and Judy, gets up, and she was like, well, we know you were here last night. And as she's, talking, Yusuf walk in. So Phil have like this blank look on his face. So Judy's like, who's that? Your new boyfriend? And Yusuf was like, no, I'm his father. And Judy gonna say, oh, well, I'm his fiance, with this little smug look on her face. Like, Judy, don't nobody nobody care. Don't nobody care. So we see Clarissa. She's in the room picking up her things. It's like we've already learned that she's going to go take Winky and they're going to stay with her mother. So Jacob comes in and he asks, because she was picking up like a toy of Winky's, and he asks if he can keep it. So Clarissa kind of got like in her feelings because she was saying that you kept on saying we when we was talking to Zora. She said you kept on saying we. And she was like, it's funny how we have to be breaking up in order for you to be the husband that I wanted you to be when we first met. So she was saying, well, maybe I was the problem, and maybe it would have been better if you never met her. I mean, no, you never met me. He was like, if I never met you, I would have never had my children. So I don't ascribe to that, logic. She also, in that moment, agreed to giving him shared custody of the children. Well, pretty much Winky, and I thought that was a good move on Clarissa part. I really do. So now to cut back to the scene with Clarissa, not Clarissa, with Charity, Yusuf, and Judy, and Phil. Woo child. Well, I guess Phil didn't like what Yusuf had to tell him, so Yusuf told him, about the predatory lending policies that Bob Whitmore, put in place and that his mom helped facilitate. He wasn't trying to hear that. He was like, um, that's all you did was sit and do crossword puzzles and talk about Western civilization. And while my mom worked long hours, he was like, and took care of everything. He was like, I'm not listening to that. So Charity was like, you need to hear him out. You need to hear it out. He was like, that's all I hear is someone trying to, basically badmouth the only person that was there for me. I'm not trying to do that. He was like, maybe I should call the cops. And I'm pretty sure that the statute of limitation isn't up on some of the crimes that you committed. He was like, I don't ever want to see you again. I don't ever want to see you again. So, Judy, I'm sorry, because her name almost escaped me. Judy, my daddy wouldn't do that. My daddy loved black people. I'm like, oh my God, Judy, you're not making this shit no better. You're not making it better, okay? Shut up. So, Yusuf, he got his feelings hurt. He kind of stormed out. And Charity told Phil, listen, I'm going to pray for you. She was like, sometimes people say that as an insult, but I'm saying this because I truly mean it. She said, because at this point, only God can help you. And she goes storming out. And Judy was like, oh, I can't wait till this place come crumbling down. She was like, these people are like pigeons. They always coming back to like pick on things. So she was trying to grab on Phil, and Phil ain't want no parts of her, so she just stormed off. And Phil, standing there looking all stupid. But I think he gonna get some clarity as to what was really going on. He not totally oblivious to everything. I got that feeling from him. So now we see Clarissa and the whole family. They outside on the steps. They gonna see Clarissa off. Her and Winky, they're saying peace to the Greenleaf mansion. So, they say their goodbyes and Clarissa drives off. And this is when the Lady May dropped the ball. Okay? She literally dropped the goddamn ball on all of their feet. So, she basically told them, she told them that because Bishop, he basically, when they had that argument, he was saying how, she was keeping the secret for 40 years, so how dare she, be harping on Jacob. So I guess that sparked something in her. So she basically told everybody that Grace is a result of an affair that she had with Lionel Jeffries, and her father, their father knows about it, and it changed nothing. And this is the goddamn kicker. She was like, okay, well, dinner will be served at 7:30. She turned around and walked in the house. Everybody looking stupid with their face all, they chins all down in their lap. Bishop console, the grandkids. And Lady May, she just walk off like the boss that she is. I'm like, this heifer. So we see Grace, Charity, and Jacob. They said that was like the quietest dinner that they ever had. Jacob was like, well, what else is there to say? So Charity basically did the analogy that it's like a plane crash, and they're like the lone survivors of the plane crash. Like, you think things are one way, and then it turned out to be something totally different. And they were making jokes about, Grace, that explains why you so light. And Jacob was like, yeah, because Charity said that, and Jacob was like, yeah, it kind of do. So he basically said, I don't care, You still my sister. I still look at you as my sister, and nothing's gonna change that. Well, Jacob, you just found out y'all don't have the same father, but y'all still share the same mother. So of course she's your sister. Of course she's your sister. Okay. So Charity, they were upset a little bit about it, and then they kind of calmed down. But when she found out that the other kids knew about it, she kind of got mad all over again. But she's over it. I mean, it's fucking Greenleaf. It's Greenleaf. So as that's going on, Grace get a call from Darius, and he basically told her that he had somebody that's willing to go on record to verify use of claims, and he wanted her to meet him, back at the place. So then it cuts to Zora and Sophia. Zora is confronting Sophia about her snitching to her parents about her plans to go to New York. She was like, "You having me I gotta go to Hoboken," and they were just talking, and Zora told Sophia that she told her mom that that she had pictures circulating around, and Sophia was like, "No, you didn't." She was like, "Yes, you're not the only one with dirty, deep dirty secrets flying around." Because Sophia asked her why Zora wasn't that mad at her, so she was, and that's basically what she told her, that she got her back. But I think I didn't see in this episode that she got her back. I think she was just busting her chops, and Sophia was like, "I guess I deserve that." And all is well in teenager land. So now Grace goes to where Darius is. She can't get in. It's no sign of Darius. She can't get there. She can't get in. Something's up. So a car pulls up, and I think that was Fernando. That was Fernando. So she basically saying to him like, "Well, where is Darius?" And he was like, he was all right. Come with me. I can bring you to. She was like, "No." So he told her, "You better stay out of it. You better back out of it, because it's not going to be pretty." Child, when I tell y'all the shit is hitting the fan, we don't know where Darius is. They probably kidnapped him because he said there's no place for reporters snooping around. And he basically warned Grace that she needs to back up. So that's all I have for this episode of Greenleaf. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'm sorry for the long video, but please don't forget to like, comment, and share, subscribe, and don't forget to holler at your girl. Bye.